Have you ever imagined a gifted female chef suddenly getting stranded in a horror world, one where cooking becomes a weapon for survival? Inside a mysterious abandoned hotel, the late-night guests aren't ordinary people, but starving spirits. Can her culinary skills carry her through the terror? Or will they only lead her to an even more tragic ending? Welcome, players, to an SSS-tier horror instance, the Wraith Hotel. You've been trapped by a storm in an abandoned hotel. However, you have no idea this place is not an ordinary hotel. The guests here are exceptionally friendly. Every day at exactly 3 a.m., a guest will visit each of your rooms. If a player sends that guest away disappointed, the ending waiting for you will be more terrifying than death itself. Let's hope we survive and meet again. From the loudspeaker came an electronic voice, gloating over other people's misfortune. Lin Yulan pushed herself up from the filthy tile floor and tugged her pajamas straight. This was the first-floor lobby of an abandoned hotel. A crystal chandelier on the ceiling swayed even though there was no wind, casting everyone's shadows onto the walls and giving off an oppressive, unspeakably eerie feeling. More than a dozen new players in pajamas lay scattered on the floor, each wearing a look of fear, anxiously scanning their surroundings. On the other side stood several veteran players, fully equipped. Before Lin Yulan could even react, a mocking female voice rang out. "Oh? Isn't this my dear good sister?" Lin Yulan looked up and met Lin Yuting's eyes. Lin Yuting and Lin Yulan were half-sisters, sharing a father but not a mother. When Lin Yulan was 4, her mother died. Their CEO father married a beautiful, delicate stepmother. That stepmother gave birth to Lin Yuting, this younger sister. With a stepmother came a stepfather in spirit. From childhood, Lin Yulan had been Cinderella, abused by her stepmother. Before she was even tall enough to reach the sink, she was forced to wash dishes. Her cups and food were constantly sabotaged with insects. They even framed her for stealing money and made her kneel outside in the snow during bitter winter. Lin Yulan wasn't polite about it either. She swapped her stepmother's diet pills for digestive pills and made the woman gain 20 kilos. She sent her sisters unfiltered, ugly bare-faced photos to the campus heartthrob Lin Yuting secretly liked. After that, the heartthrob avoided Lin Yuting whenever he saw her. When their father raged over Lin Yuting's failing exam scores, Lin Yulan put on an innocent face and presented her own first prize certificate from a chef competition. The result? Lin Yuting spent the entire summer in remedial classes. And just like that, the two of us became the most mutually hateful sisters in the world. Who would have thought we'd meet again, inside this horror game? A man in a suit had an arm around Lin Yuting, and he shot Lin Yulan an arrogant, contemptuous glance. "So this is the vicious older sister who always bullies you? Let's see how I help you vent this time." Lin Yuting happily leaned into his chest. "Lu Wei, you're the best to me." Lin Yulan raised an eyebrow. So this was her sister's new boyfriend. Judging by his clothes and gear, he was probably a veteran player. Lu Wei's underlings clustered around, whistling and fawning. "Boss and sis-in-law are so sweet, so jealous. Damn. Even in an instance we still have to eat dog food." Lu Wei lifted his chin smugly and surveyed the room. "I'm Lu Wei, Guild Master of Dawnlight, #1 guild in the game world. Welcome, newbies, to my team. As long as you join us, we'll protect you and clear the instance safely. However, we only accept capable players." He cast Lin Yulan a lofty glance. "Right. Ting Ting, what did you say your sister is good at again?" Lin Yuting smirked at Lin Yulan. "My sister? She's a chef. Cooking is what she's best at." The underlings laughed at Lin Yulan. "Cooking? Wrong place. Isn't it? What use is that? She gonna cook for ghosts? Ha ha ha." Soon, more newbies swarmed forward. "I'm a surgeon, can I join? I'm a black belt in Taekwondo. I'm a senior programmer, if there's a tech-based instance, I'll definitely be useful." Lu Wei and Lin Yuting accepted their submission like royalty. And the other players, noticing their hostility toward Lin Yulan, all avoided her. Lin Yulan let out a quiet sigh and looked up at the notice posted at the front desk. The vacant rooms were all at least doubles, requiring a minimum of 2 players per room. If the number of occupants didn't meet the room requirement, who knew what would happen in an instance this sinister? Was Lin Yulan really going to die before she'd even begun? She grit her teeth and pulled a precious piece of her secret recipe beef jerky from her pocket. She walked up to a nearby player. "Hi, would you team up with me? I'll give you this beef jerky." The person took it, chewed twice, then froze. He slowly raised his head, and a voice that made Lin Yulan's ears feel pregnant rang out, "It's delicious. Got more?" Lin Yulan stared at his face. In an instant, her heart missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 beats. She swallowed hard. Standing in front of her was a tall, lean young man with a lazy air. He yawned, his eyelashes still clinging to 2 sparkling teardrops about to fall. Messy, crow-black hair drooped over his forehead, and his peach blossom eyes shimmered, careless and yet enough to make anyone's heart flutter. Especially now, when those eyes were looking at her with deep affection, brimming with craving for her beef jerky. Without hesitation, Lin Yulan blurted out, "I agree." He blinked, confused. "Agree to what?" Lin Yulan scratched her head awkwardly. Oops, wrong thing. The moment she saw him, she'd already imagined meeting, getting to know each other, dating, marrying, having kids. When he spoke, she'd practically thought he was proposing. "Fine. I'll supply unlimited beef jerky, if you team up with me." Lin Yulan nodded like a pecking chicken, dazed, as she grabbed a double-room key from the front desk. Room 419. Her eyes lit up. What an erotic number. Was it hinting we'd have a wild, romantic night? Shy and thrilled, Lin Yulan grabbed the young man's hand, about to leave, when Lin Yuting angrily blocked her. Lin Yuting looked down on the young man. "Bayou." Then turned smugly toward the newbies scrambling to join Dawnlight. "Do you know teaming up with him means offending our Dawnlight Guild? In a dangerous instance like this, if you don't rely on our guild, you 2 newbies will die for sure. Leave her, and I'll let you join us. I leave and give you an exorcism talisman." Lin Yuting looked pleased, only to see Lin Yulan utterly absorbed, feeding Bayou beef jerky like she was in a trance. In the livestream room we couldn't see. Comments flew by at high speed. "Ha ha ha, Lin Yuting got owned this time." She used to rely on Lu Wei and Dawnlight to swagger everywhere. Who knew a newbie wouldn't even know who she is? System finally stopped picking by ability and started picking by looks. This newbie is insanely handsome. I'm screenshotting until my hand hurts. They call Lin Yuting the #1 beauty in the instance world. Her sister is way prettier. And that guy is super handsome. Even better looking than Lu Wei. Pretty is useless. This is the hardest instance, an unsolvable horror instance. Lu Wei is top ranked in strength. Those 2 newbies won't listen. Act on their own, they're definitely dead soon. Right. I checked the guide. Tonight they'll face the healthier gut-hooking Granny. Last time I watched Granny chase players, I was so scared I didn't dare eat meat for 2 weeks. Don't. Imagine you're in a haunted hotel where darkness smothers everything and starving spirits roam. A female chef uses her craft to conquer both humans and ghosts. But can delicious food really drive away the late-night horror, or will it only awaken a deadlier hunger? By now, Lin Yulan and the young man, Bayou, had successfully entered their room. She fed him beef jerky while admiring his beauty. Under the dim light, his profile looked like a snow lotus kissed by frost. Like pure moonlight. Beneath his thin shirt, the faint outline of an 8-pack showed. Lin Yulan was so entranced her saliva nearly dripped, until she realized she'd just handed over the last piece of jerky. The young man blinked, looking pitiful. Clearly not full yet. His cuteness made Lin Yulan's nose burn. She nearly got a nosebleed. "I saw there's an oven in the kitchen downstairs. And there's beef in the fridge. I can make it for you right now." Sure enough, if you wanted to hold a man's heart, you had to hold his stomach first. The ancestors hadn't lied. His eyes brightened and he nodded vigorously. But then Lin Yulan glanced at the notice taped to the door. "Guests must not leave their rooms at night." She hesitated for a second, but the young man gripped her arm tightly. "Sis, it's fine. I'll protect you. In this hotel, no one dares hurt you." His tone carried the cold arrogance of someone above all others, yet Lin Yulan, bewitched by his looks, didn't notice at all. That single sis made her soul float away. What male fox spirit? Lin Yulan nodded dreamily. Okay. Die under peonies. Be a romantic ghost too. You want to eat, I'll feed you." In the comments we couldn't see. People scolded, "Idiotic. The door is the most important defensive prop. Running around like this is definitely a tragic death." And Lu Wei, "No wonder he's top tier. He set a ghost trap right at the door. This time they might actually clear." "Stop talking, go check room 418. In room 418, bodies lay all over the floor, bleeding. Their bellies were ripped open by sharp claws. Their intestines vanished. Hey. The gut-hooking Granny cackled, mouth full of blood. gnawing on a length of intestine. "Have you seen my intestines?" Under Lu Wei and the veteran player's protection, Lin Yuting fled in panic. What kind of evil monster is this? She broke the trap and still charged the door. Still, Lu Wei truly was number one, strong enough to escape even that. The newbies, though, were almost all dead. Granny can drop a high-tier item, her comb. We didn't get it. Life or loot, can't tell what matters. Granny crawled out of the ceiling, confidently slipping into neighboring room 419. Huh? Nobody? Her wrinkled face filled with confusion. At that moment, in the kitchen, Lin Yulan was frying and stir-frying. Bai Yu sat at the table eating like a starving wolf. In a pot of bright red spicy soup floated snow-white fish slices, dotted with peppercorns, chilies, and green scallions. One bite, and the numbing heat exploded. Braised pork belly cut into neat cubes glistened in dark red sauce. One bite and the fat melted while the lean turned tender. Pure happiness flooding the mouth. Bai Yu ate so fast he couldn't even talk, only raising a thumbs up. We didn't notice it until a pale shadow appeared at the kitchen door. "Has anyone seen my intestines?" Granny stared at us gloomily, but she didn't expect her voice to be drowned out by the sizzling fish. "Huh?" Lin Yulan looked up. Granny grew annoyed. I said, "Has anyone seen my intestines?" Right then the oven beeped, drowning her out again. Lin Yulan recalled the voice and nodded. "Oh, you're a new player too?" She sized Granny up, thin as a stick. Clearly someone who never ate her fill. "You hungry? Want a midnight snack? I'll make you something. How about pork intestines?" The hotel fridge was well stocked. Lin Yulan quickly found a bag of cleaned intestines, like pale pythons, slick with moisture, plump and springy. She chopped them with practiced ease. Bai Yu raised her hand decisively. "Make me another portion too." The unseen comments exploded. "I'm dying. This is the super boss who chased the number one player into chaos. And she doesn't even get to finish her line. Is Granny that hungry?" Lin Yulan's making her stir-fried intestines. Not gonna lie, her cooking looks insanely fragrant. I can practically smell it. We came for horror, not a cooking show. Granny stood awkwardly, fists clenched, seemingly debating whether to regain face by tearing us to pieces. But the oil in the wok was already smoking. Lin Yulan tossed the intestines into the hot oil. Zzzzz. The wild, unmistakable fragrance of animal fat burst out and seized the entire kitchen. "I'm hungry," someone commented. "Watching this at night, is this even allowed?" Granny finally went with the flow and obediently sat beside Bai Yu. Soon 2 plates of stir-fried intestines were served, set neatly in front of them. The dish steamed, sauce glossy and amber under the light. Plump pieces of intestine glistened beneath a clear, shining glaze, dotted with green scallions and bright red chilies, an intense visual shock. Granny clumsily picked one up. It was heavy, sauce threatening to drip. She blew on it, then carefully put it in her mouth. Instantly, those cloudy cataract white horror eyes lit up. First came a crisp snap, proof of fierce heat. Then the silky sauce spread, savory, fresh, slightly sweet, touched with a faint tang. The vinegar's acidity woke the tongue, cutting through richness. Granny took 1 bite, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then looked at Lin Yulan with trembling excitement. "Holy, this kid cooks exactly my taste. If I'd known cooked intestines were this good, why the hell did I eat them raw for so many years? From now on, I'm done eating raw. Kid, this clearance item is yours. Make me another plate." An exquisitely carved wooden comb was placed before Lin Yulan, patterned like something from the Republican era, heavy with time's breath. "Thank you, Granny." Lin Yulan accepted it calmly, though her heart was bursting with joy. A chef. So what? A chef is an honest profession too. Learn one skill and you fear nothing, truly. The comments went feral. This is officially a cooking show. The second Granny opens her mouth, all horror atmosphere evaporates. "That stir-fried intestine looks so good I want a bite. Wait, am I seeing this right? That's the comb Lu Wei was risking his life for. She just gave it away? For free?" Lin Yulan touched the comb, and a notification appeared at once. "Congratulations, player. You obtained the special grade item Granny's wooden comb. The owner may designate one person to leave the game safely." Lin Yulan looked at Granny, plainly dressed, and yet clearly a veteran who could casually hand out something this strong and beautiful. "Granny, wait a moment, I'll make it right away." After eating their fill, Lin Yulan and Baiyu returned to room 419 and slept soundly until morning. As night shrouds the Wraith Hotel, dark secrets begin to surface. A female chef doesn't just cook, she even wins over the hearts of demons. But can sisterhood and a newborn romance help her survive the lethal trials ahead? The next morning, Lin Yulan stepped out with a hint of regret. Didn't the instance say a monster would come last night? She'd even imagined playing hero to save the handsome guy. Earning points, maybe something romantic would happen with Baiyu. Why didn't it come to our room? Did it come, see no one, and leave? The moment she reached the lobby, Lin Yuting froze, then rushed up and grabbed her arm. You're not dead? Lu Wei and the veteran players stared in shock. Those two newbies actually survived. The crowd buzzed. Not only that, no injuries. And Lin Yulan looked radiant. How? Seeing Lin Yuting's shocked, wronged expression, especially the deep blood stains on her hands and neck, Lin Yulan couldn't help the satisfaction rising in her chest. I don't know. Maybe we were especially lucky. Last night we left the room and cooked downstairs. Maybe when the monster came, it found no one and left. Some newbies immediately fell into thought. So you can leave the room? Why didn't we think of that? Lin Yuting grit her teeth and sneered. Sis, if you don't want to share your secret, fine. But it don't lie to fool people. The rule clearly says guests aren't allowed to leave at night. Are you trying to trick others into going out to die? The newbies' faces changed as they looked at Lin Yulan. How vicious. She wants us to be bait while she hides safe. No wonder even her sister hates her. Comments mocked. People never earn money beyond their understanding. You think Granny is a monster, turns out to her. Granny is just a kind northeast granny who calls her kid and gives high-tier items for free. Then the gloating electronic voice sounded again. Congratulations. Lucky players. You survived the first night. As a reward, we will reveal tonight's visiting guest in advance. Tonight's guest is the bride in red. The final boss you must face on the third night is the hotel owner. Friendly reminder, if you cannot obtain the key clearance item from one of the three guests, you will not be able to leave the game. The consequences of staying in the hotel are not something you want to know. This eerie hotel does not charge lodging. We only trade in souls. The veteran players' faces sank. Among the nervous chatter, tension churned. A fat man tugged Lu Wei and whispered, frowning, "We're so unlucky. The three bosses are random, normally at least one is easy to score. But night 1 was Granny, an unsolvable deer monster. Night 2 is the Ghost Bride, famous for mechanics. And night 3? The hotel owner is the top super boss in the instance world. Since the instance world was created, no one has ever beaten him. Remember Han Shan, the former number 1? Brought all skills and items. Led a full team against the owner. Did he win? They threw every ultimate move. In the end the boss checked his HP bar, barely scratched. Then isn't this a wipe? Not a full wipe. That girl got Granny's comb, at least she can leave. What about Lu Wei? He can't beat the owner, so he has to bet everything on the bride today. But the bride is also a boss normal people can't handle. Lin Yulan knew nothing of the comments. She idly played with the wooden comb from last night. Lin Yuting walked over, about to speak, then her eyes locked onto the comb. Where did you get that comb? She reached to snatch it, but Lin Yulan stepped aside without politeness. What are you doing? This isn't your house, your mum isn't here to help you steal my things. Lin Yuting's face shifted, she forced a gentle smile like squeezing toothpaste. Sis, I've thought it through. We're sisters. At home we didn't get along. But out here, in this horror world, we must help each other. How about I tell Lu Wei to let you join our team? Lin Yulan shook her head instantly. I'm not going. If I go, how do I live my two-person world with Baiyu? She'd been single since the womb. It wasn't easy finally meeting a man who matched her tastes head to toe. This year she had to bring him home, visit her mom's grave and show her, see? I have a boyfriend too. Baiyu nodded too. I'm not going either. Lin Yuting shot him a glare. Nobody asked you. She smiled at Lin Yulan. Fine. If you won't join, I can share information about the Ghost Bride. Lu Wei has run this instance before, he knows her. Lin Yulan tilted her head and saw Lu Wei conferring in low voices with his followers. She couldn't hear. To be safe, she nodded. All right. Say it. Lin Yuting began. This hotel was built in the Republican era. A poor girl fell in love with a rich young master. Sadly, his parents refused the marriage. So he and the girl agreed to meet at this hotel and elope together. The girl was brought here by her only relative, her granny. But she didn't know the young master had forgotten their promise and fallen for a fiancé arranged by his parents. Her granny fell ill from exhaustion and had an attack in the hotel. The girl had no money for treatment, couldn't even pay the room. And when she went to beg the young master for a loan, she was beaten. She returned to the hotel to find her granny had died, covered in injuries. In unbearable pain, she finally put on a bright red wedding dress and burned herself to death in a hotel room, on the very day the young master married his fiancée. Lin Yulan's heart ached a little. Lin Yuting lowered her voice mysteriously. And this ghost bride is a special mechanic. Lin Yulan waited, only to see Lin Yuting's eyes flick toward the comb in Lin Yulan's hand. But the next part isn't free. Unless you trade me that comb. Lin Yulan smiled and placed the comb into Lin Yuting's hand. Go on. Lin Yuting examined it carefully, delight spreading across her face. She must have seen the item description too. Then she said smugly, the ghost bride will ask male players, husband, do you want to marry another woman? At that moment, as long as the male player says, wife, I only love you, the instance clears. Love and betrayal twist together in the hotel's darkness. A female chef changes fate with her cooking. But hidden schemes can flip everything. Can a sincere heart defeat ambition and lies? Seeing Lin Yuting's smiling face, Lin Yulan asked warily, how do I know you're not lying? Lin Yuting produced a slip of paper. This is a contract item. It can verify. Lin Yulan touched it, saw its function, used it, and confirmed Lin Yuting was telling the truth. This girl was clever, but not too clever. Lin Yuting hadn't lied, she just hadn't said the consequence. One person would die. Great. With this contract as proof, the girl would definitely believe her. Lin Yuting watched Lin Yulan tug Bai Yu away, a mocking smile curling at the corner of her mouth. My good sister, I hope this isn't the last time we meet. Lin Yuting happily went to Lu Wei, clutching the comb and tugging his sleeve. Brother Lu Wei, I have good news. Lu Wei dodged her, exhausted. Ting-ting. We have to search the hotel for items to deal with the ghost bride tonight. Tonight we take the route of helping the bride steal the groom. Meanwhile Lin Yulan and Bai Yu returned to room 419. Just as Lin Yuting had said, there was a ghost groom outfit in the room. Bai Yu reached for it, when Lin Yulan suddenly blocked him. Wait. Bai Yu blinked. What? Lin Yulan stared at him, embarrassed and conflicted. How could she say she didn't want him playing the ghost groom? Even if the bride was a female ghost. Her damn possessiveness, she stumbled over her words. How about I play it? What if the ghost bride wants a woman? But in the story, didn't she love a man? Lin Yulan choked, then reluctantly admitted it made sense. As she was thinking, Bai Yu's face leaned close. Someone's jealous. Jealous of a ghost bride. Even. Lin Yulan's face turned red as a sunset. Last night someone took advantage while I slept and touched my abs. Lin Yulan fell silent. So in this era there were not only male hooligans, but female hooligans too. That was the first time anyone touched my abs, he said. Shouldn't you take responsibility? Lin Yulan's heart thumped wildly. Responsibility how? Repay him with her body? There was such a good deal? Don't regret it. In Bai Yu's startled gaze, Lin Yulan suddenly pushed him onto the bed and kissed him hard. Even in broad daylight, our romance couldn't be stopped. After the storm passed, Lin Yulan quietly lit a cigarette and said the most romantic line of her life, from now on, beef jerky. Unlimited. Bai Yu looked at her deeply. I've waited so long to hear that. Lin Yulan hugged the jade pendant at her neck, her mother's only keepsake. Mum, did you see? Learning a skill really is useful. I used cooking to snag a handsome husband. Then she remembered tonight's instance. What if the ghost bride comes? I have a way. Lin Yulan anxiously grabbed his sleeve. Anyway, I won't allow you to marry her. Bai Yu smiled gently and kissed her cheek. You'd miss me that much? Lin Yulan nodded rapidly. Shy. We dodged it last night. Let's dodge the ghost bride tonight too. We already have the clearance item anyway. Lin Yulan smiled meaningfully, then pulled out from her sleeve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. More than 20 combs. Granny was too enthusiastic. Every plate of stir-fried intestines. 1 comb. I stockpiled a whole pile. The comments roared. That stack of combs is enough to clear everyone here. Granny is absurdly generous. She stole all the spotlight, no need to fight the next 2 bosses anymore. Bai Yu stared for a moment, then laughed softly, so beautiful it was like a breeze over dew-soaked white roses. Lin Yulan nearly drooled. Lan is really smart. Then tonight we dodge the ghost bride too. Lin Yulan nodded when someone knocked. Granny stood at the door. Awkward. Remembering the pile of combs, Lin Yulan greeted her warmly. Back for stir-fried intestines again today? Granny shook her head shyly. My granddaughter is getting married today. I want to ask you to make some wedding pastries. She's my only granddaughter by my hometown tradition. I should make the pastries myself. But I have gout. My fingers are stiff. I lost my cooking skills long ago. A child only marries once in her life. I want her day to be perfect. Seeing Granny's gentle face, Lin Yulan immediately agreed. Then let's meet in the kitchen downstairs. A moment later in the kitchen, Lin Yulan and Granny's granddaughter stared at each other. The girl wore a bright red wedding dress. Lipstick smeared from the corners of her mouth all the way to her ears. Her eyeliner was so thick it looked like blood running from beneath her eyes. Lin Yulan's eyelid twitched. Cosplay fan? But even cosplay didn't go that hard at a wedding. Granny quickly tugged her granddaughter. Ah, she missed me. She cried in her room earlier and ruined her makeup. Lin Yulan nodded and nodded. Little sister, what kind of wedding pastries do you want? The girl was so tense it took forever to squeeze out a sentence. Husband, do you want to marry another woman? The kitchen fell dead silent. Lin Yulan sensed Baiyu beside her turning away, shoulders trembling as if holding back laughter. The girl's face flushed so red it showed even through her white powder. Comments cried laughing, so the ghost bride is socially anxious? Every time she sees someone she says one line and blurts it out. Is this horror or a comedy show? Lin Yulan dug in her ear. Did she hear wrong? The girl's voice was too small and too fast, everything ran together. Lin Yulan replayed it in her head. Marry. Wife. So that means... you want cookies, right? Cookies are pastries, too. The bride blinked. Flustered. Then nodded. What an adorable, shy little bride. Lin Yulan smiled like an auntie and pulled out a bag of yeast. Soon, under the oven's roar, the sweet scent of cookies and chocolate filled the kitchen. Lin Yulan took out a tray of freshly baked chocolate cookies. The bride extended long, delicate fingers, picked one up, then yelped and pulled back from the heat. She blew on her fingers. Then tried again. Warmth and a slick hint of butter clung to her fingertips. She brought it to her nose. Baked butter smelled warm and steady. Carefully, she took the first bite. The shell shattered with a perfect crunch, crack, and melted chocolate flowed smoothly under her teeth. At a corner Lin Yulan didn't notice. Baiyu and Granny also snuck a cookie each, crunching happily. Suddenly, the bride's eyes watered. Lin Yulan was about to check her hand, but the bride grabbed her tightly. That bastard husband hasn't come for years, forget him. You and I shall live together. I'll help you conquer the world. You stay home beautiful like a flower and cook for me. Woo woo, she cried like pear blossoms in rain. While Lin Yulan froze. But, I already have someone I like. Lin Yulan pulled Baiyu, who was still trying to steal cookies, and leaned him onto her shoulder. The bride shot Baiyu a jealous glare. Then shyly took out a linked heart cord and placed it in Lin Yulan's hand. Think about it. I don't mind being the concubine. The horror journey nears its end. Yet the biggest surprises still wait ahead. A female chef doesn't just conquer ghosts, she reshapes the entire instance world. Will true happiness arrive? Or is it only a dream inside the darkness? Congratulations, player. You obtained the quest item, their ghost bride's linked heart cord. The comments screamed, special grade items are this easy to get? I'm done, I'm going to learn cooking. Does anyone have her contact info? Those chocolate cookies made me crave. My chocolate head has been bewitched. Lin Yulan set the remaining cookies in front of Baiyu. He crunched happily, eyes squinting with pleasure. Sometime during that, Granny and the ghost bride had already left. Lin Yulan looked out the window. Night had fallen. In room 418, screams rang without stopping. Lu Wei's group fled in panic from the ghost bride's pursuit. The fat man shouted in terror. What's going on? Didn't we already get the key item? Why isn't the plot for helping the bride steal the groom triggering? The comments laughed, they're miserable. But I want to laugh, what do I do? How would they know? The ghost bride has been healed by that girl. She doesn't want the trash husband anymore, why would she steal a groom? So what now? Is Lu Wei's team going to be wiped here? At that moment, Lu Wei gritted his teeth and suddenly rushed forward, wearing the ghost groom outfit. I'm your groom. The comments gasped, he's switching routes? He wants to play the ghost bride's groom? Won't he be killed? Is he sacrificing himself to save everyone? So great. Lin Yuting panicked and tried to rush forward. Lu Wei. Don't. The ghost bride blinked at Lu Wei, habitually asking, do you want to marry another woman? No. I only marry you. The ghost bride put a hand on Lu Wei's shoulder, about to take him, when Lu Wei suddenly shouted, to prove my love, I offer the little mistress who ruined us. He grabbed Lin Yulan and shoved her into the ghost bride's arms. The ghost bride froze, blinking. The comments exploded like a flood. I remember, there's a hidden operation. After I only love you. You sacrifice a female player to the ghost bride. Then she spares everyone. But that woman definitely dies. Lu Wei is absolute scum. Lin Yulan collapsed, staring at Lu Wei. I treated you so well. And you treat me like this? You bastard. Lu Wei turned away, not looking at her. Stop it. You dated me because I'm a top-ranked super player, right? I protected you through so many instances. Without me you'd have died long ago. It was a trade. There's no scum or not scum. Lin Yulan laughed, laughing into desperate madness. I even thought there was only one comb. If I couldn't leave, I'd let you go. She pulled the comb from her chest. Lu Wei and everyone froze. The comments realized, so she planned to use the comb to let Lu Wei leave. And he planned to sacrifice her. Look at Lu Wei's face, he regrets it now. Lin Yulan looked at Lu Wei and smiled miserably. If that's how it is, then no one leaves. She pressed the button to destroy the item. No. Lu Wei lunged to stop her. But it was too late. The comb dissolved into nothing. Lin Yulan suddenly threw herself onto the ghost bride's long nails. Blood sprayed from her throat. And she died instantly. The ghost bride also turned into red smoke and vanished into the air. The fat man stared in despair at where Lin Yulan disappeared.